It's Eric, owner of Farpoint Farms here in the mountains of North Carolina, and today is time for part 2 of working on our little Troy Bilt Pony here. Now this is the 2012, but pretty much this is going to be identical to any models all the way up to the brand new ones, and certainly any other model that shares this motor. So there's a lot of different brands. I think this underneath is an MTD, so I think the Craftsman T1000 is pretty much the same machine as this. So I'm going to list this as a Troy Bilt because that's what it is, but you can pretty well guess that this is going to be the same for most. Just like the last time we met and messed with this thing, where we did a tune-up, the first step really is to remove the hood. So go ahead and let's do that, and we'll get it off, and I'll show you why doing an oil change on this is particularly not so fun. Alright, so here we are. As you can see, there's our little plug right down there. There it is right there. And there's no drain for it. There's no easy way to do this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to need a 14mm socket here. And I've got that and an extension. You kind of wedge that on there. Ooh, it's already loose. Holy cow. Yeah, that would have been a problem. Anyway, we've got that. Well, we're going to need to tilt this whole thing upright. So let me go ahead and I'm going to wedge a block underneath this thing. I'm going to put a block on the driver's front tire, and that'll kind of tilt this engine to the side and to a little bit to the back here, and that'll help drain this thing out. That's what we're going to be taking off. So we're going to do this now. We've got this little block here. I'm going to lift this side of the mower. These things are quite heavy, so it kind of sucks, but I'm going to lift it up, put that tire on this block, and that'll tilt this thing off to this side, help drain all the oil out of it, okay? So let's do that if we can. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, what I've done now is I've lifted the front end up. It's a little bit off to this side. Problem is, it's still going to want to drip to the back. So, also, I'll turn the wheel a little bit so I can get as much room as I can on this. Well, I've got this big jug here. Well, how the heck am I going to get that lined up, right? Well, there's a solution to that problem too. So, we've got this thing up in the air now. We've got it tilted so it's a little bit more this way. And I've got this bolt here that I've got to get out. It's still going to tend to drip back and make a god-awful mess. So I'm going to use this with just a piece of plastic. This actually was an old cutting board that has been moved off to greater jobs, and this is the greater job. So we're going to stuff that in here. And the idea here is to create a path, if we can, for these things to take. Yeah, that looks good. So by doing this, hopefully, the oil will funnel down, out, and down into this instead of getting all over the frame of this. So let's go ahead and hold that there. Go ahead and take this off. And I'm glad I'm doing the oil change now before that little bolt let itself loose. Now, the other thing we want to do here is unscrew our cap, take our dipstick off. That way, it helps flow. And here we go. Pretty nasty looking oil. As you can see, even with this installed, I'm still getting oil places I don't want it to go. There's not a whole lot I can do about that. It's a shame. Dripping some on the ground. But for the most part, I'd say about 90%, it's going where I want it to go. It really does make me angry, though, that they designed something like this when all they needed to do was bring a small tube here. This is just regular pipe threading here. They could bring a small tube out here with a downspout and run this thing out. One of the things I will do long term is just that. I'll buy a little 3-inch extension there and run that to this so that well, I don't have this kind of mess again, because I hate the idea of spilling oil on the ground or getting oil all over the components here, and that's exactly what's happened. At least, I don't know, 2 or 3% has ended up in places it shouldn't have. But I'll go ahead and let this drain. One thing I forgot to tell you all beforehand is you want to make sure you run the engine for a few minutes and warm all this stuff up before you drain the oil. That's just a good idea. That helps, especially if it's cold out. Obviously a hot day. I have been mowing with this thing, so I failed to mention that earlier on, but matter of fact, I'll put it in writing at the beginning of the video. But yes, you do want to run this engine for a few moments before doing these oil changes. That way, the oil that comes out quickly, like this has here. You can see how it's dripping. It's very thinned out, so that's good. That's what we want. And once you're sure, I guess that's about all she's going to get out of there. We'll go ahead and reinsert the screw. There we go. Finger tight, we'll go ahead and slide this out, let that drain, move the whole mess out of the way right here. And before we do anything else, or forget to do anything else, go ahead and tighten that down. There we go. Now you don't want to over tighten it because you'll actually crack the block, or that block is made out of aluminum and magnesium. But that's it for in a nutshell. Let me go ahead, I'll get some rags, we'll clean up as much of this as we can, and we'll move on. I don't know if it shows here in the video, but you can see a few drops got down on the deck. Clean those off. And a little bit got underneath here. Very, very frustrating. And it's not that I'm a neat freak. It's that, well, one, the engineers should have thought of this, but two, this is damaging our environment. Now, I'm not an environmentalist, but I don't want poison in my water. I get my water out of the ground, as a lot of you do, and I don't need to contribute any issues to that. So it's just sad, But that's the way it is. That's the way the modern era works. All right. So lastly, we're going to go ahead and fill this thing back up with oil. You do want to use 30 weight oil, SAE 30 weight, whether it's got a detergent in it or not, I don't care. It doesn't ever seem to make a difference to me. But we do have to find out how much this particular engine takes, and let me find that out right now. All right, so lastly we're going to fill it up. We're going to start the motor up, and then we're going to recheck it. According to the internet, which never lies, this takes 1.9 quarts, which is about 1 1/3 of these. So this one here is full. Go ahead and dump this entire one in there. Alright, let's try it like that. Now you can check it right now, but I like to run them for a few seconds, let it circulate, and then let it sit. Go ahead and do that. And then it'll be time to put our hood back on. It'll be time to recheck. Oh, I guess I should probably put this thing back down off of the blocks. There we go. You want to have it on pretty level ground. Okay, let's check it. The first thing we're going to do is wipe that off, and then we'll stuff it back in there. It's just bubbled up a bit there, but yeah. Right at the very top of the top line, so not bad. It's a little, if I should shave a hair off of there, I would, but I'm going to say that's good enough. So let's go ahead and put the hood back on, and we're all set. It's time to put the hood back on, and again, going to slide it down in there. And there she goes, and then we have these wires to put back in because our headlight bulbs are here, so we want to snake that back up. Got our bulbs back in place there, ran our cord up through. We're done. So that's it, with a minimum of a mess, still a little bit of a mess, which definitely bothers me, but it is what it is. We managed to do an oil change. If you watch part 1, we also managed to do an air filter and spark plug cleaning or replacement and a fuel filter replacement, and we lubricated everything and greased everything. So my little pony here is ready. Get it? My Little Pony? Anyway, my little pony here is ready for action. We're going to sharpen the blades in another video, but that'll be probably midway through the summer, since this one already had the blade sharpened before I bought it. And I've got the chute on order. Maybe I'll show you how to put that on, but it's pretty self-explanatory. That is it. I'm Eric, the owner of Farpoint Farms, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe you'll think about liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
There's always something that needs a little fixing on Farpoint